we were deployed back to the southern part of Angola, there at the Kunene, and we had to do patrols there. And at that stage, the information said that some of the guys will come over in Makoras. That's that. They take a tree trunk, a lock, and it's that wooden boats that they make with our shovels. Remember on the armored car we had these shovels. We did a bit of canoeing there on the Kunene. We deployed there at a place. Our squadron commander Dup, who also passed away in this year, he had a permanent base there, which should have actually be semi-permanent because we are supposed to move every day, but that was so nice there. It's high ground, you could walk down to the river and you could see all over Angola, over the Kunene. He just reported different positions every day. But so one day we were sitting there, and I think all three of us having a chat with Dup. There were troops walking by. The armored car engine came in a metal, like a mesh crate out of steel, yeah. And they were walking down to the river, and we couldn't understand what's going on there. And we called the one guy and said, what are you doing? Where are you going with that? And they said, no, Staff Spikkels. That Blanche said they must take this down to the river. And we said, okay. So later on, Spikkels walked by with his towel and his soap and everything, and walking down the river. We had a place there where we actually we call it Sandy Bay actually, because we swim there and everything. And we walked down and we said to Spikkels, so what's this about? And he said, no, they must put this crate in the river because he wants to have a bath or wash himself. And we said, but why? He said, no, he's scared of the platonde, which is the crocodiles, because it was submerged. You couldn't see the top of it. He said, so what happens if you get into that and the crocodile is or the platonde is already there? And he said, no, just wait. So he told one of the troops, get in. He got in and he checked it for him. And then he had his guards with the R5s. To protect him, and he had a good voice. That was actually a nice deployment which we had. You were then also there.
I joined, yeah.
So our troop commanders had a secret frequency with a code name. So because we always had to be on the squadron net, and if you want to discuss a couple of things, we said, I couldn't remember the code name, but Platonde or whatever, and then we know we go on this frequency that nobody else knows. And then we decide where to get together and have a chat and have a bit of a swim. So that was good times, still good, disciplined troop commanders. But
and that was the period when you were almost drowned.
But what happened there is we had the engineers had to clear that road. There was a piece of road there which they had to do mine sweeping or clearance and check for mines. So we had to provide us armored car troop to protect them while they're out there doing that. And that's not a nice assignment. You move at such a slow pace, and it's just not nice, but needed to be done. There was another troop before me, I can't remember, but then they said, no, listen, this is not fun anymore, rotate us at least. So they sent me. We did that, and when we came at the end of where they stopped with the mine clearing, the lieutenant from the engineers came to me and said, listen, we've been doing this now for days, maybe a week or so on end, and we just need a day off that we can rest before we go back. And I said, okay, that's fine. So we drove down to the river, and as we drove to the river, it was kind of a L type of where the river made. So I thought that's a nice one because you've got river protection covered at most of the sites, and then just this part that we also need to check. So we set up camp there and supposed to stay there for that one night, and the next day the guy said to me, just one more day. I said, okay, that's fine. So they had all their explosives in the river to see if we can catch fish and all of those things that we're not always supposed to do, but in any event. So we stayed there, but as I said, on our way to that, there's a small, what's a drifty? It's just like a drift. But I saw that, but it was totally dry, so it didn't actually take notice of that. In any event, so we were there for that day, and the next day I gave up another position because I'm not supposed to stay there. So I was about 4 kilos supposed to be away from that point. And then on the third day, we said, okay, now we must return to base. And of course, it rained and the river came down quite a bit. We drove back, and I took my same spoor to get to the whatever. And suddenly there's this big river in front of me, which wasn't there, of course, when we came. And then we realized that out of the Kunene, there's a side river or whatever that comes in at this side and goes out at the other side. And because of the level, the rise in level, that filled up. We were basically on an island. And I said to the engineers, well, you're engineers, you are supposed to be able, although they specialize in mine clearing, I said, you're supposed to build bridges and things and get us out of here. And we started taking trees down to stack that. And I remember at one stage I had my rat pack, and I took my spoon. Remember, we always washed it with in the sand, and then it's nice and clear. And I thought, let's just put on the edge there. I put my spoon upside down in the sand where the water level is. And after 5 or 10 minutes, I came back, and that spoon was like there, so I could see it was rising quite a bit. It wasn't that deep. It was about, in the photo we are sitting and our neck, so it's about half a meter plus. But the problem is if you go in with the armored car, the ground is actually slippery. So it's not that it sank away, but you couldn't move. And at a stage I realized, okay, now this thing is rising. I need to call for help. But the problem is I'm not supposed to be there, of course. I'm supposed to be 4 kilometers. Mate comes with Squadron Commander, with Captain Dupe at that stage. And I said, no, this is a situation. He thought I was now going to drown within the next, be underwater in the next couple of minutes. So he sent the cavalry, which was a Wittens recovery truck. And Wilfred provided the protection. So he came with. So we started as far back as you can, and go through all the gears with the eland. Engineers had biffles, and at top speed, just hit the water and see how far you can get. And then we stopped. We hooked it on with the winch from the recovery, and we pulled everyone out. So, but I had to explain why I wasn't where I was supposed to be. But then I said, no, maybe I just, my map reading wasn't up to standard, or whatever the case might be.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.